Do you ever feel like freezing up during an interview? Struggling to find the right words to impress employers? Well, look, you're not alone. Many people have the skills for the job, but they're just not able to articulate them when it matters most. I remember my first big interview several decades ago. I walked in confident, well, trying to look confident, but when they asked me to tell them about myself, you know that question, my brain went blank, and I muttered something about working hard and being a team player, but it just didn't really land. It sounded false, over rehearsed or something. So later on, as I got older and as I started doing interviews myself, I realized that the problem was not really me and my ability, it was my lack of prepared phrases. And just like tying this bow tie, the right phrases help you look and feel sharp and feel ready. So here's a quick tip that you can use right away. For the question, tell me about yourself, try using the past, present, future structure. One line that tells about your past role, one about what you're doing now, and one about what excites you in the future. That simple frame keeps you calm and makes you sound polished. Tonight, I'm going to share with you a few more of these phrases that can really make all the difference. And be sure to stick around, because in the Mastery Minute, I'll give you a nice phrase that ties it all together. You know how much I love idioms. So don't forget, drop your questions in the chat and I'll answer a few right after the Mastery Minute. And please like and subscribe and share this so more people can improve with us. So let me introduce you to Sarah. Sarah was an engineer from Hong Kong that I was helping for an interview preparation. She was applying for a leadership role. And, well, she had all the technical skills. There's no doubt about that. But in interviews, she would freeze up. She'd say things like, "I'm a hard worker," or "I work well with others." Well, the problem with that is nobody listened. That just kind of falls flat. You sound the same as everyone else. So I wanted to point out to her that these little generic phrases, they do nothing to show her brilliance, and they make her more forgettable. And you don't want that. So what do? We practiced a few stronger lines like, "I love solving complex problems," by breaking them into simple steps. Or, "Colleagues often come to me when they need clarity on a technical issue." And that transformed her performance. And now, when she tried that, the interviewers, they leaned in and started paying attention. They started seeing her as a leader, and that's what got her the job. So, what phrases can you use to impress your employers? Let's break it down. So we're going to talk about, 4 categories of impressive phrases. Oh, I might want to share the slide. Okay, we're going to talk about this because, look, I'll be honest. Storytelling is one of the key things that you need to have when you're giving an interview. However, I'm not talking about storytelling tonight because sometimes you just need little phrases to help you move along, to help keep things organized. If you want to know how to tell great stories, search for interview on my YouTube channel or within my videos, and you'll find or storytelling. Use that one, and you'll find some great tips on telling stories. So the 4 categories we're going to talk about is confidence and enthusiasm, how to tackle that tough question, "Tell me about yourself," how to tackle the questions that you're just not prepared for, and finally, the one thing that most people forget, you're going to want to stick around that, the questions that you should be asking. All right, so let's start with confidence and enthusiasm. Employers want to see real energy in the way you answer. I mean, imagine you're sitting in front of a panel and they ask you why you want the job. Now, if you say something like, well, I'd like this job. Well, that sounds flat. It sounds forgettable. Now compare this with, I'm really excited about the opportunity to contribute here. Or, this role matches really well with my strengths and I'm eager to bring the value to your team. Now, think about it from the interviewer's side. The first answer leaves them wondering if you really care. The second one paints you as motivated and ready. It's a small little change, but it shifts the impression that you leave. So these are the kind of phrases that work because they strike the right balance. You show confidence and enthusiasm without sounding desperate. I always like to say, go into an interview not begging for a job. You're selling your services to the company. It gives you a mental shift so that you can walk in more confidently. So instead of begging for a position, you're presenting yourself as a person who already has a position or belongs at the table. So, how do we answer the question, tell me about yourself? This was always my favorite question in an interview because it told me more about the candidate than any other question, in my opinion. Because this question makes many people panic. They hear it and they suddenly feel like they need to give their life story, or they have to read or recite their entire resume. Don't bother. They've already read your resume. That's why they're contacting you for the interview. What interviewers want, it's not all that. What they want is a snapshot, something that shows where you've been, where you are, and where you are going. So here's how it works. Imagine you're an engineer who has led a small team. Instead of rambling through every job you've ever had, you could say, in my previous role, I led a team of 5 engineers. Then you add the present. Currently, I'm focused on improving efficiency in product testing. Then you add the future. Looking forward, I'm excited to bring those skills to a global company like yours. You see that simple picture? You've done it in less than 30 seconds. You've highlighted your leadership, your current expertise, and your future ambition, all in a neat frame. And what this frame is called is the past, present, future model. And that's why it works so well. It's simple, professional, and it keeps you from wandering off track. Think of it as your anchor. When your nerves kick in, instead of drowning in details, you're just telling a short, confident story about yourself. And that's exactly what impresses employers. All right? Now, what happens when you get a question and it makes you sweat, like I'm sweating right now? It's a little warm in here. This is the part of the interview that makes people sweat. The tough questions, the unexpected question. You never know. Maybe it's a technical detail that you don't remember or a situation that you've never faced. The worst thing that you can do is bluff your way through it. That means don't make it up. That hurts your credibility. Instead, try something like, that's a great question. I'd like to think about it for a moment. That simple line buys you a few seconds and makes you sound thoughtful instead of panicked. Or maybe you don't have an answer, so give them that. I don't have that information right now, but I'd be happy to follow up. That shows that you're honest and you're professional. Don't think that it's going to make you look bad if you say, I don't know. Okay? These phrases work because they turn a potential weakness into a strength. You're not expected to know every answer, especially not instantly. But you are expected to stay calm and handle the pressure with integrity and honesty. And responses like these, they help to reassure the employer that you won't freeze or fake it when real challenges appear in the job. Because they do, they always appear. All right. There's always a point at the end of any interview when the interviewer asks you if you have any questions. And most people waste this chance by saying, "No, I don't have any questions." That is a big mistake. The questions you ask at the end of an interview can leave just as strong an impression on an employer as the answers that you give earlier. Okay? Imagine an interviewer says, "Do you have any questions for us?" And you just reply with silence. The conversation dies. But if you ask something thoughtful, you shift from being a passive candidate to an engaged professional. For example, instead of just shrugging, you could say, "What qualities do you value most in someone who succeeds here?" That gives you a little clue, and it tells that you're interested in succeeding. Or go a little step further with, "What qualities does a successful person have who's been here for more than 5 years?" That shows that you're thinking ahead, and the signals that you're thinking about long-term growth. Companies like it when they think, "Oh, you're going to stick around." It makes them more likely to invest in you. Another option you might say is, "What's the biggest challenge the team is facing right now?" That way you're telling them that you're preparing to roll up your sleeves and contribute to the real problems and solutions. So these questions actually flip the script. You're not just being evaluated, you're evaluating them too. Remember, it's like a business negotiation or sales pitch. Employers remember candidates who ask smart, specific questions because it shows genuine interest and long-term commitment. All right, let's move it along. And I want to say, that was the 4 keys, but I want to remind you that your positive self-talk is important too. So before your next interview, you should remind yourself, "I don't need perfect English, I just need clear, confident English." Employers aren't grading you on your grammar. They're listening for clarity and enthusiasm and professionalism. And the phrases that we've covered tonight are tools for your toolbox, but your mindset is the engine. It keeps it going. Walk into the room thinking, "I'm ready to contribute," and your words will follow. So, now is your turn. What is one interview phrase that we talked about that you have used or that you wish you had that really made a difference? Drop it in the chat. I'd love to hear some of your go-to lines. And here's your challenge from this episode. Pick one phrase or two from tonight's episode. Practice it out loud 3 times, 4 times. Notice how much more confident you feel. And if this video helped you, remember, give us a like, a subscribe, share it with a friend, and you can read the full blog post at allaboutenglishmastery.com. The link is in the description. And as always, if you have ever thought, "Hey, I don't have time to prepare for interviews. I don't have time to study my English," my course, Mastering English for Busy Professionals, is designed just for you. Just 10 minutes a day, real phrases, real habits, real confidence. Check it out using the link in the description or in the chat. And you can also drop your questions in the chat, and I'll answer a few right after the Mastery Minute. Speaking of the Mastery Minute, that's what time it is right now. And I've got a great idiom for today. The idiom for today is called "show your true colors." And I love this one because it's a nautical history. It comes from back in the old sailing ship days, like this old sailing ship in the slide. In the days of sailing ships, a vessel would fly its national flag. The flag of the nation is called the colors. Sometimes ships would trick others by flying false flags so that they could get close and then shoot their cannons at each other and start a battle. Eventually, though, they had to show their true colors and reveal who they really were. That was the rules of the sea at that time. And that's where the idiom comes from. It means to reveal your real character or intentions. But how does this connect with interviews? Well, employers want to see the real you, not a rehearsed robot. So, for example, when someone asks what motivates you, you might answer, I really come alive when I'm solving tough problems with a team. That's when I show my true colors. Huh? That's authentic. It's human. It shows a little passion. And it's unique. I really come alive. That's when I show my true colors. The idiom works because interviews are more than just skills. They're about trust. They're about showing your employer your true colors, saying this is who I am and this is the value that I will bring. And that's exactly what makes you memorable. So, I hope you like that. I thought that's a good one. And if you like this episode, well, let's see. Tonight, let's wrap it up. We talked about simple but powerful interview phrases showing confidence, telling your story, handling tough questions, and asking smart ones. Even a few polished lines can make you unforgettable in the interview room, and that's what you want to be. Next time, we're going to talk a little bit about pronunciation. I got some requests for pronunciation, and this one, sometimes people get confused on the letter C. And so we're going to talk about that. The hard sound of the C, like in cat, and when it softens, like in city. And so we'll look at some clear rules, practical examples, so you can sound confident in any situation. So, and if this episode gave you value, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any future episodes. I'm Dennis Wilborn, and this has been 15-Minute Mastery. See you next time.